You were never lazy. You were emotionally exhausted. Have you ever had a day where you did nothing, absolutely nothing, and yet felt completely drained by the end of it? Not tired in a way that sleep could fix, but heavy in a way that made you wonder if something was wrong with you. You wake up already exhausted. You look at your phone, scroll for a while, then put it down. You think about getting up, making breakfast, maybe even doing something productive today, but the thought itself feels like lifting weights. So you don't move, and the silence that follows starts turning into accusation, lazy, undisciplined, behind. But what if that voice has been mislabeling something much deeper? What if the reason you can't move forward has nothing to do with motivation and everything to do with something you never realized you were carrying? Think about the last time something small overwhelmed you. A simple phone call that took 3 days to prepare for. A short message that triggered hours of overthinking. Someone cancelling plans and a wave of rejection rising before logic could step in. Those reactions don't come from laziness. They come from a system that learned very early that emotional exposure equals risk. When you grow up feeling emotionally unseen, your nervous system adapts. It starts scanning for danger constantly, not physical danger, emotional danger, the danger of being ignored, misunderstood, dismissed, the danger of needing someone and feeling them pull away. And that scanning never fully stops. It becomes a background program running quietly all day, monitoring tone shifts, facial expressions, pauses in conversation, text response times, the subtle difference between I'm fine and I'm fine. That program costs energy, so by the time you reach the end of the day, even if you never left your bed, your mind has already run a marathon, meant being criticized, where being emotional meant being inconvenient, where being visible meant being evaluated. You learn to shrink, to observe, to read the room before entering it. You become careful, measured, hyper-aware. Now you're an adult sitting in a coffee shop, feeling drained after 20 minutes of being around people. Not because you dislike them, but because your system is still scanning, still protecting, still working. That isn't laziness. That's a nervous system that never learned how to power down. You see it in relationships too, replaying conversations, analyzing tone, searching for hidden meaning, becoming a detective of other people's emotions because somewhere deep inside, connection felt conditional. And detective work is exhausting. It costs peace, it costs rest, it costs the ability to just exist without calculating your impact. There's a particular loneliness in this, not the loneliness of being alone, the loneliness of being unseen while surrounded, of performing connection instead of feeling it, smiling when you're overwhelmed, agreeing when you want to speak, listening while silently unraveling. Performance requires energy. After years of performing, the body eventually resists. That resistance can look like procrastination, like cancelling plans, like staring at a to-do list without moving. From the outside, it looks like laziness. From the inside, it feels like collapse. Think about how often the task itself isn't the problem. It's the pressure around it, the expectation, the fear of doing it wrong, the fear of being judged, the weight of needing to get it right so you remain safe. When emotional neglect shapes you early, you don't just learn to survive situations, you learn to survive your own thoughts. You learn to argue with yourself before anyone else can. You learn to anticipate rejection before it happens. That constant inner war is where your energy goes, not into dreams, not not into creativity, not into movement, into protection. There is a kind of tired that sleep does not touch. It lives deeper, in the nervous system, in the muscles that never fully unclench, in the breath that never fully drops. It comes from holding yourself together when no one held you. It comes from being strong when you needed softness. It comes from carrying weight that was never meant to be carried alone. And over time, that kind of tired starts to feel normal. So normal that you call it laziness. But laziness is indifference. What you feel is weight. Overthinking is not a flaw. It is vigilance stretched too far. It is a mind trained to predict pain before it arrives. A mind that stayed alert long after the original threat disappeared. And eventually, even the most vigilant system crashes. You might notice that you work best under pressure. That crisis feels clarifying. Because pressure forces movement without reflection. It silences overthinking temporarily. But when things are calm, the exhaustion rises again. Calm exposes what busyness hides. There are moments when you forget the exhaustion. Moments when you're absorbed, present, unaware of yourself. In those moments, the scanning pauses. The background program softens. The inner critic goes quiet. And something else appears. Not laziness, not weakness. Just you, underneath the exhaustion. The exhaustion is not your identity. It is the residue of adaptation, the echo of survival strategies that once kept you safe. You were never lazy. You were holding yourself together with hands that were never held, running on fumes and calling it discipline, surviving and calling it failure. Maybe the heaviness you feel isn't a flaw in your character. Maybe it's evidence of how long you've been carrying invisible weight. And maybe the word lazy was never accurate. Maybe the more honest word was tired. Not physically, but emotionally. And that kind of tired doesn't disappear just because someone demands productivity. It lingers, quietly, until it is finally named.